Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't know if you can hear me, actually. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, this is such a cozy room. You guys are all so beautiful in this room, packed in here. Thank you for coming tonight to this really special evening that we put together for Love, Hope, Strength. Just some quick info on the room. This is our brand new room here at WINFLO. A beautiful sound, beautiful lighting. I have artists in here every Thursday for a dinner show. So it's dinner, and then afterwards you have a wonderful evening of music. So look for that on our website, the listening room at WINFLO on Facebook. And I want to introduce to you my very good friend James Chippendale. I know him through all the house concerts I actually promote for Love, Hope, Strength, which is a wonderful organization. But I want him to come up on stage and talk to you more about that, and of course Mike Peters. So please welcome to the stage James Chippendale.
I'll tell you what I love about coming after Christina, because we do this at the house concerts. Her self-promotion is fabulous. It's amazing. So you all might be wondering why I invited here tonight. I'm not coming out of the closet. I'm very in love with my girlfriend Allison. I'm very straight. Everybody in here wonders because I'm so well dressed and pointed. I take it after Palmer. Palmer's my muse. So I brought you here tonight because I wanted to thank everybody. Everybody in this room has something to do with Love, Hope, Strength. Everybody in this room has helped us do what we do. And a lot of people know my stories, and a lot of people may not know my entire story. So we're going to talk about me for about 45 minutes. And then that's where Christina learned it, actually. So 13 years ago, I was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of leukemia, and was really on my deathbed. I had a couple weeks to live. Isn't this going to be a great night? Hang with me. It really does get better. There's a happy ending. And I had to have a bone marrow transplant. I couldn't find a donor. And we searched the world and world and world, and dozens and dozens and thousands and thousands and thousands of different samples. And finally, at the 11th hour, my hero came from a little village outside of Berlin, Germany, Klaus Kaiser, who saved my life.
Yay!
Yeah! Well, it's good on some days. You know. So he saved my life, and I felt motivated to do something. I really wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I did some other charity work, but I knew that that wasn't the call to do cancer research. I felt very lucky that I had found a donor. I felt very lucky that I had a really good hospital doing really good treatment. And then I met an amazing man named Mike Peters, and a very, very close friend of ours, Richard Reese, who is in this room tonight, introduced us. And Mike and I are going to get into this story a little bit more, but just to let you guys know, you may or may not know a lot about Love, Hope, Strength, but it all started right here in Austin, Texas, when Mike was coming to play South by Southwest. So Mike hasn't been back to the U.S. in 8 years, I don't think, and he hasn't been back to Austin since we had that historic day of our meeting and talking about the charity for the first time. So, can I bring to the stage somebody you may know from The Alarm, now fronting Big Country. I know him as my great friend and Love, Hope, Strength co-founder, Mike Peters. So you want to sit down and talk a little bit about us, our favorite topic?
Not used to sitting down on stage.
Well, I said a little bit about everybody in here has had something to do with Love, Hope, Strength, and the bottom line is that we have now found 40,000 bone marrow matches. We just went over the 40,000 mark. Yes. Yeah. You know, last year we sold 600 matches that have saved 600 lives in the last year. And it all started out with us talking about an idea, and you and I getting introduced and through Richard.
That's right. Well, I was diagnosed for the second time with cancer in December 2005, and as usual with me and my doctors, they know that nothing stops me from playing rock and roll, not even cancer. And as it was the second time, they were kind of prepared for me. But The Alarm had an album out, which I'll tell you more about as the evening develops, called Under Attack. And I was having a lot of chemotherapy, I was having some heavy treatment, and my doctors allowed me to play one show a month while I was doing the treatment. And I said, okay, well, one of those has got to be in America at South by Southwest in Austin, and that's what brought me here.
Yeah.
Well, and what brought me here was a bit of luck, really. I couldn't, because I was under so much treatment in the UK, I couldn't get any travel insurance to cover the trip. So my beautiful wife, Jules, who's here tonight with my kids, Dylan and Evan. Jules took it upon herself to make sure I was looked after while I was here, so she called a friend of ours from the music industry called Richard Rees and asked if he could help out if I had a reaction to the drugs or passed out or got pneumonia or something, and if there was a doctor who could help kind of get me home. And Richard said, well, do better than that, I'll introduce you to a man who's been through leukemia, knows what it's all about. And Richard introduced me to James Chippendale.
So when they got off the plane for the first time when I met him, they thought I was going to be like a 65-year-old cowboy with boots, because we'd never talked.
It's true.
And they're like, so they're expecting this Dallas insurance guy, you know, getting off the...
Yeah.
And they kind of look, I kind of waved at him and they kind of go... No, I go, it's me. Yeah, it's actually me.
We had a film crew with us from the BBC as well, so it's kind of surreal, wasn't it?
It was a surreal moment, and the reason why Mike came over, and the first thing I said to him is, when we did email, was, have you gotten a second and third opinion? And he said, no, I just went into my little local hospital. I said, that's not good enough. When you come to South by Southwest, I'm going to bring you to Dallas and get you hooked up with some of the top leukemia doctors in the world to get you a second and third opinion and make sure you're going down the right course. And that's kind of how it all started.
That's right, and James is right. We never actually met until we actually got off the airport in the aeroplane, and James asked me about my treatment I was having in Wales, and I said, well, I just literally walked into the hospital with some symptoms, and next minute they diagnosed me with leukemia and gave me a doctor and a whole course of treatment. And James is like, didn't you have a say in that? Did you not choose? Didn't you have health insurance? I said, well, we don't sort of do it like that in Britain. It's kind of free for everybody,
right.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
And so anyway, my own doctor I had an instinct that he was amazing. I'd been with him a long time. I was first diagnosed in 1995, so I was kind of versed and schooled in what cancer was all about. And my own Dr. Edwards said he encouraged me to get second opinions, and because I was in the rock and roll industry, knew a lot of people, I got an introduction to the Chelsea Westminster Hotel. It's so rock and roll, isn't it? Use hotels and hospitals.
I've been to their hotels and their hospitals.
Yeah, that's it. Throw the radiation machine out of the window. Anyway, I do that from time to time. But no, my doctor said, look, you really need to go and get a second opinion. I went to a Chelsea Westminster hospital in London, and I saw supposedly the best leukemia specialist in the UK, and he was a young guy, and he was kind of belittling where I came from, because I came from Wales in the sticks and in the middle of nowhere. And anyway, he said to me and Jules, if you want to see your kids in 2 years, you need to come here and have a transplant and start treatment straight away. And it was a very scary moment, and I went back to my own doctor, and he disagreed with that. He said, look, Mike, I look at your life and the way you live and your music and your family, and you've got kids, you've got young Dylan there, and you know, you want another boy and everything like that. And he said, let's not make the treatment worse than the disease. And it was at that point that I said, look, I'm going to play a show in Austin at the South by Southwest Music Festival, and that was the early part of 2006. And he let me do that. He was a very cool doctor, and I didn't really know it, but he was very up on the best things and the best ways of treatment, and he encouraged me to take up James's advice and go and meet the guys in Dallas. I said, I've had this angel come to me out of nowhere and offer me an opportunity to meet the two best leukemia specialists in America, and they happen to be in Dallas, not far from Austin. And I came to meet them with James. And James came to took me to see them, and they were both, it was Dr. Joseph Fay from the Baylor Institute, and Bob Collins, who was at UT Southwestern, and they both concurred with my doctor in Wales. They said, look, Mike, we can see your life, we can read all the figures, and yes, there's a school of thought that you should have a transplant right now, but we're looking at, like your own Dr. Edwards, let's keep you alive, let's keep you in rock and roll, let's keep you as a father, let's not hit you with a heavy hammer and send you off in another direction in life. And so I owe the fact that I'm sitting here being able to play guitar and talk to this man here, because if I'd had not come to America and Austin and had this incredible experience with my wife of meeting like-minded kindred spirits, then my life might have changed at that point. I might have not been able to play rock and roll and might not have been able to start something as powerful as the Love, Hope, Strength Foundation. So James has come here to thank everybody, but I've come here to thank James himself.
When do I get the key to the city? Yeah, and I think it progressed from there, and that, again, we didn't really know what we wanted to do as far as a charity, and Mike and I are always, we got to do, what can we do? He's like doing a gig, and then he's making an album, and then he's making a couple videos, and that's just in the morning. And then, so, by the end of the day, we had a charity, and it was going to be a global charity, and we're going to be all over the place, we're going to build cancer centers, we're going to have donors and all over the place, and
well, that's like, wow, Texas viewpoint.
It actually happened. I mean, it didn't happen that easily. I mean, I came over to Wales just to kind of spend time with you guys. I was over there for business, and then, we walked into your chapel, really.
Yeah. Well, I think that I didn't really know that. To me, charity was, Live Aid and things like that, and I didn't really know that much about it at a grassroots level, other than people would write to our office and ask for CDs to be auctioned off at charity events and things like that. And James was the first person that talked to me about the idea of a foundation and turning your situation into something really positive. And I took James, as he said, to my creative hub in North Wales. I have a chapel in the village where I was born and I've been raised, still live, and bring up my family, and took over the Welsh chapel there, and I use it as a creative hub. And when I was going through the leukemia, because it had become public, my story, people had seen me going into the hospital, and they knew it was going to happen, and I posted something on the alarm.com website to alert the fans firsthand, so that it took the fear out for them as well. And when I was having treatment, I made these green t-shirts for fans and for my friends to wear, to kind of support me, to get this sort of almost this unified train of thought that could see me through what I was going through. And the green t-shirts had the words Love, Hope, Strength written on them, and I showed these t-shirts to James and said, look, this is what I've made for my friends, and here's one for you to stand with me while I'm having all this treatment. And James said, Mike, that's the name of the charity right there, Love, Hope, Strength, and that's where it really started.
Yeah, it's weird because that song was written in what year?
It was written in 1985, actually.
So 1985, and the lyric in the song that kind of inspired it is, who's going to donate the lifeblood pouring through my veins?
That's right, yeah.
It was like, this is kind of weird.
It's spooky in a way, yeah.
And it happened, and so what we did is we ran up to his house and got on, and we bought the domain Love, Hope, Strength. We're like, it's available, this is great. We didn't have any idea what the heck we were going to do, but we bought the domain.
We were sat around with Jules, and we said we're going to start the charity, and there we were. Next minute it was Love, Hope, Strength.
Well, it came from that, because but Mike wanted to do something to give back to the local community in Wales that had supported him through his treatment. So that's where the idea for the climbs, and I don't
Yeah, I was having my chemo in the cancer centre in Wales, and the first time I'd been diagnosed, there wasn't a cancer centre in North Wales, so there's no idea that they're going to hit you with that when you become ill. You just get sent to give blood, but nowadays it was a cancer centre, and I was sent there, and I was having treatment, and it was a new building, but through the windows you could see the summit of Mount Snowdon in Wales, which is the highest mountain in England and Wales. And I've always loved climbing there with Jules, and we've always gone there as just as hikers and people to get away from the world, and we have our best chats in the mountainsides, and I thought, well, when I get well, I'm going to turn this into a positive. I'm going to take all the alarm fans to the summit, and we'll do a concert on the summit, and we'll support the cancer centre we can see from the summit, and we'll give all the money to the nursing staff. And like James said, I didn't feel research needed any more of my energy and work. They've got some incredible things going, and things I've just been reading about recently, they're really going to change things for me in the future, and I'm always grateful for that. But I felt something needed to be done that was a little bit more hands-on, sort of inspired by chatting with James and realising there was different healthcare systems around the world. So to me it was something to sort of think as big as possible but act locally. So my idea was to climb Mount Snowdon and support a cancer centre in Wales, and that was about the sort of vision I had until I brought James and said, look, see that mountain? I'm going up there.
And then I said, wait, I think we can do something a little bit better.
Typical Texan, you see.
And I said, well, what about Mount Everest? I said, look, if we're going to start this charity, let's just go to the highest place in the world and shout it from the rooftops. We'll take a bunch of cancer survivors. You invite all your buddies, the guy Slim Jim from the Stray Cats, and Glenn Tilbrook and Squeeze and The Fix, and all these 80s rockers, and they're like, and we started telling people the story of like, here's what we're going to go do, and they all said, there's no way. There is no way. First off, there's no way those guys are going to make it. And they said, second off, you know, it's the task of holding concerts all the way up and then doing a concert at 19,000 feet to break the world record, because that was kind of our goal at the time, to kick off the charity. And the goal was that we had supported the cancer center in North Wales, but, you know, there was quality cancer care that needed to be, you know, given all over the world. So we found this hospital in Nepal that was, you know, people live on $1 a day and they don't even have the most basic treatment, and we said, let's go build and support this cancer center in Nepal and the people there, and started out with Everest, and since then it's been Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and we have a children's cancer center in Africa that we support, the first ever children's cancer center. Treats about 20,000 kids every year for free, and until we went there and started the cancer center, there was absolutely no cancer care for children, and it's just, you know, we've done Machu Picchu in Peru, we've done Mount Fuji in Wales, and in Japan, we've done
and Everest in Scotland, highest mountain in all of Britain. And
so all in all, we've done
Pyeatt Peak,
Vail
Mountain in Colorado.
I think we've been part of or done.
I'm looking for a mountain in Austin, but I can't find it.
Mount Pinnell.
You have to walk around the hippies. So we've done, and we've been part of over 1,000 events on 6 continents since that day in 2007 that we met, and it's not, you know, Mike and I have the crazy ideas sometimes, but it's because of everyone in this room that supported us in that. And there's people in this room that have helped us, you know, we're not only, you know, doing these events and supporting the cancer centers, but you guys know the drives, and now we're doing drives at almost every major music festival, Austin City Limits, Lollapalooza, Bonnaroo. You know, we're now on tour with Robert Plant, you know, OAR we're on tour with this year, and Kenny Chesney, and it's because of our friends that said, you know, I see what these guys are doing, and they're actually making a difference and saving lives, and it's because of,
you know, one of the things that the Get on the List campaign started, and it really began with the fact that James here, who I'd owed so much to as an individual, when I was telling the story about James back in the UK and researching about how bone marrow donation works, because I was in a position where I might need a transplant at some point in the future and need a donor, I realised that I was lucky to have James in my life, because if James's donor Klaus from Germany had been born in the UK, he would have been considered too old to be on the donor list and would have not been allowed on the registry, and therefore James would have passed away at his time of his transplant. And so I was very determined to make the change in the UK, and one of our policies and missions with Love Hope Strength is to change and unify the way people get on the donor list. And America's and get on the list internationally, but America was quite forward thinking, and in America you could sign on the registry from 18 to 55. You could use cheek swabs. It was very simple to do. It's free through Love Hope Strength and the partnership we have with Delete Blood Cancer, and that's why we've been able to sign up so many people to the registry in a short space of time, working at rock and roll gigs where people have, you know, they're used to engaging with activism at events, from seeing the kind of bands that we all kind of love in this room, and so I wanted to kind of bring that to Britain, and so we started campaigning in Westminster and using as much influence as we could bring to the situation, and James, we worked closely with James, and just before I set off for this tour, we actually held the first ever stem cell bone marrow donor drive in the House of Commons with British MPs, and we've been able to raise the age in the UK to the same as America, to 55. We've got permission to do cheek swabs. And of course first few weeks of operation we signed up 1,000 people, and
wow.
and we've added to the list, and our aims are now to take that kind of policy and see if we can work our influence in other countries that you know, like Mexico, where there's only 4,000 people on the registry to help save an entire continent of people like that. So they're some of our future missions that we're working towards, but it's really all stemmed from the relationship we have and working out our differences of being people who have a commonality, because we're both in the music industry. I'm maybe more on stage and James is off stage, and does an incredible job to service the entire music industry and allow it to function. And because we have that sort of duality to our relationship, and the fact that we live across the Atlantic from each other, we can see the differences and we can talk and argue and spot them, and also then find solutions and
argue.
Yes, that's it. But it's like that to me, it's a sort of living, working, breathing version of that special relationship, as it's been said many times, between the UK and the USA. And I'm just grateful that James is here, and I'm able to do what I do and play with the music I have and go on the walks with James, and the Love Hope Strength Foundation is a very source of great pride to me and to James too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing about Mike that has come from this is that, you know, Mike not only just stands up here and talks about it, but he actually does it. So he's on tour right now, fronting Big Country, and I've actually seen him at the gigs, playing the show, and then he's out doing the donor booth and actually signing people up and registering them, telling them how to swab their cheeks, and that to me was one of the most powerful things I've ever seen, is that this man is living it every day, and you know, feels what we're building here, and knows that we're saving lives, you know, every single concert that we hold.
We all do. That's why we're all in the room. As you say, everybody in the room has got some sort of connection to Love Hope Strength, either through the music or through the friendships that we've built up and have helped us to stay alive. And so we're very grateful for everybody here. And long may the Love Hope Strength community continue to rise and do the good work it does. And just grateful to be here too, in Austin, where it all began.
So on that note, let's play some music.
All right.
James Chippendale. So let's rejig the stage here. And yeah, so as James is saying, I'm here in America mainly to sing for Big Country. It's a band I've known all my life, all my musical life, and I first saw Big Country play in 1983 when The Alarm were on tour with U2 doing the War Tour, and we all actually met at a venue called the Hammersmith Palais in London, and I'd been teaching Bono how to play Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan at the time. Because an amazing thing I found out about U2 when I started playing was that they actually couldn't play any instruments, really. It's true. They could play what they'd learned to play in an instrument, what they created themselves, but they couldn't play anybody else's songs at all. And that's why you'd often hear Bono sing Send in the Clouds or something in the middle of one of their songs, because that was about the closest they could get to a real live cover version. It's true. But the genius was in the fact that they could just play what they had learnt to play themselves. So I spent some time sat with Bono trying to teach him a few basic guitar chords. And I thought the easiest song in the world to play is Knocking on Heaven's Door, even The Alarm can play that. And so they finally got the courage to play it live, so Bono said to me, we're going to do it at the Hammersmith Palais tomorrow night, you've got to come and sing it with us. So I said, of course, I can't wait to be there. And the show started, and they played an amazing set, as they always did. And then Bono says, and we're going to bring on Mike Peters from The Alarm to sing Knocking on Heaven's Door, and everyone goes mad. And I come down and stood with Bono, and he goes like this, Mike, bring Stuart Adamson on from Big Country too. Okay, so he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Stuart Adamson from Big Country. We'll go like this. And he's not there, he's in the crowd watching the gig. So everyone lifts him up over their heads and brings him up onto the stage. And I literally took his hand to help him up over the barrier onto the stage, and that's where we all met, and this little triumvirate of bands, the Celtic rock bands, The Alarm, U2, Simple Minds, Big Country, we all became really good friends, and then that was the start of our adventures coming to America, and America's been very kind to us, and so I'm grateful to be here, to the Big Country fans, for allowing me to be part of their family as well, and so that's been an incredible journey. Maybe the story of that is for another night, so I think I better get the guitar while I've covered the stage show. Thank you. Let's have a look. Guitar leads. I knew I shouldn't have thrown that radiation machine out of the window. I can't afford guitar roadies anymore. Okay, so let's have a look. So I thought we'd start with a song which is this is a song which James referred to. I wrote the song in 1985 and had a kind of an auspicious beginning. I was in a hotel in Newcastle on the Alarm's Absolute Reality tour, and I got a song idea in my head. I could hear the melody. I was in the hotel room and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I must have been dreaming it, and I was rooming with my mate Red Eye, who, if you ever go and see Bob Dylan, he's Bob Dylan's right hand man these days, but Red Eye I'd grown up with him. He was Jules and I's best man, and he's the coolest guy, a bit like James. And I said, Red, I've got a song in my head, you know, I need to get the guitar out of the van downstairs, out of the truck. So he says, okay, so, and he was at game for anything, that's why he's got the job with Bob Dylan. But we went downstairs and we just had towels wrapped around our waists and the keys for the vehicle, and we got in the back of this big truck with all our equipment for the tour. And we're rummaging around the back trying to find the guitar, and then we hear this on the side van. And it's 3 policemen. Oi oi, what's going on in here then? Doesn't look like a sauna to me. Anyway, so the song that I had in my head turned out to be this one, and and it contained the 3 words that have given the Love, Hope, Strength charity its name. So it's quite an unusual beginning for something like what we do. But this is a song called Strength. Who will light the fire I need to survive? Who will be the lifeblood coursing through my veins, like a river flowing that will never change? I need someone I can depend on. I'm a man of emotion, I can't hide the tears. I'm a man of feeling, I can't hide the pain. I'm alone on the outskirts of town, no one knows my name. I'm at the point in my life where I need affection. Oh, won't you give me love, give me hope, give me strength, give me someone to live for. Give me love, give me hope, give me strength, give me someone. Someone write me a letter, I need to know that I'm still alive. Someone give me a telephone call, I need to hear a human sound. Someone open the door, let me out of this place. I've been caged up for oh so long, I don't know if I'm living or dying.